Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, and today is another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. So if you'd like to know more, sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of tea, and without further ado, let us get into the video. So ladies and gents, how are we all doing? I hope you're doing well. And as the title of the video suggests, we are going to be discussing some shit you just can't make up. And that is my experience at a new Ducati dealership in Vauxhall. Me and the missus were out yesterday afternoon, today being the 30th of July. So yesterday was the 29th of July, and by the time this video comes out, it'll be at some point in August, so I apologise for that in advance. And basically, long and short of it is, I want to talk about my experience at that Ducati dealership and why I will never go back there. Now, the day started off like any other day, as you would expect. You know, with it being July, it was nice, warm, sunny. There wasn't a lot of people about, because obviously it's now the 6 weeks holiday for a lot of schools in London. So I was out and about with the missus, doing our thing, and we thought, let's go down to that new Ducati place in Vauxhall, because the last time I went down to a Ducati dealership that was in Vauxhall on the embankment, I didn't have a great experience because, long story short, this was back in the day when the 848 and the 1098 and the 1198 were around. And I went in there to try and get a test ride on an 848 before I purchased one. And I got told by either the manager there or one of the assistants at the dealership, I can't remember who it was or what they were at the time. And I was told, no, we're not getting you a bike to test ride because we're not going to get it in because you might not buy it. Well, in actual fact, the guy's actual words were, no, we're not getting a bike for you unless you're going to buy it. And at that point, that left a really bitter taste in my mouth, and I was like, hold on a minute. How am I supposed to know if I want to buy the bike if I'm not allowed to test ride it? Now, bearing in mind, at the time, I was in my mid-20s, I'd had my full licence for a couple of years, and I was like, hold on. You expect me to buy the bike first and then test ride it? No, that's not how shit works, I'm afraid. So I turned around and said to the guy at the dealership at the time, I went, no, you're alright mate, I'll go elsewhere. To which case, I was met with a lot of hostility, and I decided at that point I would never go back there. However, fast forward about 10 years, they've opened a new Ducati dealership in the Vauxhall embankment arches. And I thought, okay, you know, I'll give them another go. It's been a long time since I last went there. Maybe their attitudes have changed. Oh, how fucking wrong I was. Their attitudes have not changed in the slightest. And I will explain to you why this is the case. Me and the missus went into this new place, and I could tell straight away that the start of this whole situation would have been not a great experience, because one of the doors was smashed. And you know, we just get a feeling of a place, it's like, first impression is not great. You know, you're walking into a relatively new dealership. I think they'd only been open for about 6 months at this point, maybe a year, not quite sure. And me and the missus walk in, and as per usual, there's all the Ducatis in the world you could ever ask for. There was Diavos, there was V4s, there was V2s, there was Monsters, there was Hypermotards, there was their new motocross jobby, there was Street Fighter V4 SP2, there was a Lamborghini V4 Street Fighter. You know, there was a lot of things to look at and choose from, and I was more interested in the V4 and the V2, primarily the V2S and the V4S. So there's me looking around, mind my own business, thinking, these bikes are really cool, you know, they look really nice. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with these people? Because there's two, well, let me backtrack a little bit and explain why I came to the conclusion I did. So I've already said, me and the missus, we've walked through the doors, we've had a look around, and I can hear two guys chatting away to each other at the back of the store. So I kind of make myself known. I literally walked past the counter twice. So I turned to the missus and I go, is anyone actually going to bother to serve us? Are we going to get greeted? Do they even know we're here? It turned out, in all honesty, they had no fucking idea we were there. Didn't even look up from their paperwork to see if we needed any help. We didn't get a single interaction from either member of staff. As someone who works in retail, as you guys know, it's rude to not interact with your customers. Well, it's not just rude, it's fucking ignorant. I never got to speak to anyone in that dealership. There was 2 guys behind the counter, like I said, and then a 3rd guy walked in and started nattering away to both of them in Italian. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Is this guy the manager of the store, or is this just some random eye-tie bloke who just happens to know the guys working in the shop? And you know when you just think to yourself, something don't add up here. We were in the store for about 20-25 minutes, and like I said, the merchandise they had in the store was really cool. The bikes were cool. They were, apart from one bike that had a bit of bird shit on the nose cone because someone might have taken it out. All the bikes look pristine. You know, they look ready to rock and roll straight off the shop floor. And some of their, you know, their miscellaneous clothing, like their body warmers and stuff like that, all looks really, really good. You know, the presentation of the shop floor was good. Everything was clean, tidy, laid out as you'd expect from a premium brand like Ducati. But what got me, and this is going to sound really, really petty, and for those people that work in the same sort of environment as I do, I think you'll understand what I mean when I say this. I think at one point, one guy looked up from the counter, looked at me and the missus, and we got scoffed at. You know, one of those arrogant, like, you don't have the money to be in here, why are you here? Bearing in mind, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't mind saying this, I'm a fairly modest man, and I had about £2,000 in my pocket, so to speak, that I could have spent on anything in that Ducati dealership. I could have put a deposit on a bike, I could have bought a load of merchandise, I could have bought a helmet off them, I could have, you know, there's a lot of things I could have done which I now will never do with them for the simple fact that they were fucking ignorant. Well, I say ignorant, arrogant's probably a better word. And it was like, I'm not being funny, but for a new dealership that's screaming out for customers, you think that they would actually go out their way to approach the customers, go, you alright guys, do you need any help at all? A bit like what I do. I know it's not quite the same thing, because working in a bike dealership to working in a motorcycle accessories shop, you know, there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. Now, me and the missus, again, are modest people. We don't go around, you know, shouting and bawling and screaming and whatever else just to get attention. And we were relatively quiet in that shop. And it literally got to a point where we hadn't been approached for at least 20 minutes, I literally lost my patience. I was like, nah, fuck this, we're leaving. That's not the experience that you'd expect from a premium brand like Ducati. You know, if it was some sort of like weird backdoor kind of dealership, then I can understand the complete lack of customer service. I can understand it if it was one of those sort of places, you know, one of those pokey little garages that the guys that work here don't really want to work there, and they can't be fucked to work there, and they don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to get their work done and go home. You know, those kind of places, I can understand the lack of customer service facing people. I get that, I really do. But what bothers me is going to this place has left an extremely bad taste in my mouth, to the point where I don't think I'll ever go in there again. And you're probably going to say in the comments, or you could probably say to yourself after watching this video, oh Lee, you're being so picky, you're being this, you're being that, blah 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 blah. But unfortunately, where I come from, a retail based environment, I feel like I was treated poorly. And I know people are going to say as well, oh, what was wrong with you going up to the guys at the counter and asked them for help and blah 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 blah. Yes, you are right, I could have done. However, when there's 2 sales assistants sitting behind a desk, and I think, now don't quote me on this, I think all they were doing were ticking off inventory from a delivery that they had. And if that was all they were doing, then they could quite easily have stopped what they were doing and approached me and my missus and gone, "You right there, guys, do you need any help at all?" But no, there was not a sniff of customer service from either of the two guys that were there. It was almost like they were there just to fill the space. They weren't there to do a job, they weren't there to help customers, they were literally just there to count. And if I'm honest, that's not the experience you would expect. And I would hope to think that a lot of you guys that watch this video will agree with me, because there's no way, in my honest opinion, that any customer should be ignored. Even if you approach a customer and you go, "Hi guys, do you need any help at all?" and they go, "No, we're alright, thanks, we're just looking," then my instant response is to say, "Okay, if you need any help, just give me a shout. One of us will be floating around, so if you've got any questions, feel free to give us a shout and we'll come over and give you a hand." That's what should happen in a retail environment. Not be completely ignored from the minute you walk in the door, which unfortunately is exactly what happened to me and the missus. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. This same Ducati shop have been on Facebook and been on Instagram recently saying that they are going to be having a BSB team, which is going to be fronted by Cole Fogarty. I do sincerely hope that their superbike team has better hospitality and customer services than what that store does, because if it doesn't, regardless of whether Cole Fogarty's fronting it or not, they won't have a lot of customers. Back in the day, they used to be called Ducati London South. Now, I don't know if they're still called that or whether they're just called Ducati London. But one way or another, ladies and gentlemen, as much as a Ducati fan I am, thanks to that experience, I don't think I'll buy another Ducati. Not a brand new one anyway. And especially not from that Ducati place in Vauxhall. I don't want this video to sound like I'm shitting on them. Well, I kind of am, but kind of not at the same time. I just want to bring you guys awareness, or bring the awareness of how lackluster the experience was. You know, as you guys know, if you've been with the channel from the beginning, I am a huge Ducati fan. I've loved Ducati since the 748, 916, 996, 998, even up to the current V4s. I've always been a fan. Except for the 999 and 749, because they're fuck ugly. But I digress. Could I see myself owning another Ducati? Maybe. Could I see myself getting a brand new Ducati? Probably not. Could I see myself getting a Ducati from that Ducati dealership in Vauxhall? 100% no. Could I see myself getting a Ducati in general? Yes. If anyone else has had the same sort of experience with this Ducati dealership, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below, because it'd be nice to get your guys' feedback as well. Because like I said, I don't want to shit on someone that doesn't need to be shat on, but at the same time, people need to be made aware of these awful experiences. And like I said, I'm not out to run the store into the ground. I'm not out to shit on their name. I just want people to understand my personal experience with this dealership, because in my own personal humble opinion, what they've done is not right. I mean, no one would expect to go into Harrods or into like Macy's in America, or you know, some high-end store, and be ignored. Now, it doesn't matter whether you walk into a shop wearing a dinner suit, a three-piece suit, top hat and tails. It doesn't, or if you're wearing tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt. It shouldn't matter what you're wearing for someone to go, "Oh no, I'm not serving you, you look like a tramp." That's not how it should be. I mean, I know everyone can make snap judgments about how people dress and how people talk. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. More so with the way people talk, because I'll be honest with you, when people talk to me with the whole roadman thing, it's like, no, sorry, talk to me in the Queen's English. Or sorry, talk to me in the King's English now. I'm not some fucking chavvy roadman that talks like this. I'm saying, man, what you got for me, fam? I'm not one of them. I'm a normal South London lad who actually has a grasp of the English language, who doesn't feel like I have to go in it after every fucking word. But again, that kind of swings back to the thing with the Ducati place. The two guys that were sitting behind this counter must have been two of the poshest lads I've ever heard talking. I mean, they spoke like royalty. It was like I was listening to Prince William and Harry having a fucking ding-dong. And it was like, hold on a minute. just because I'm not wearing a suit and tie, or I'm not wearing some fancy jewellery, or got £1,000 pair of sunglasses on, or a £5 watch on, or whatever, you know, you should still treat me with a level of respect and, you know, not even necessarily humility, but at the same time, it's like, hold on, why are you completely fucking ignoring me? It shouldn't take for me to go up to a member of staff and go, excuse me, can I have some help? No, that's not how it works, and it's never been like that for as long as I can remember as far as retail goes. If someone needs help, you go to them, you're right guys, you're right sir, you're right madam, do you need any help at all? And they'll do one or two things. They'll either go, no, I'm okay thanks, I'm just looking, or they go, yeah actually, would you mind helping me with blah blah blah. It's all about that personable experience, and I didn't get that at the Ducati place. I really didn't. And you know, when you just think to yourself, I'm really disappointed with this experience. You don't go into a premium branded shop like a Ducati shop, like a Triumph shop, like a Honda shop, like a Yamaha dealership, Suzuki when they're around, you know, all the big players in the world of superbikes and stuff like that. You don't expect to go into one of their stores or one of their more, in inverted commas, upmarket showrooms and be completely ignored. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened when I went to this place yesterday. Now, I don't know if this will ever get back to that dealership or get back to the manager of that dealership, but if it does, I want them to take away something from this video, and that is your customer services needs improving immensely. And what I mean by that is, instead of the two guys behind the till doing fuck all apart from counting inventory or whatever it was they were doing, have one of them one side of the counter, one the other side of the counter. Do what you got to do by all means, but actually engage with the customers. And that's something that they didn't do. And I know they weren't interested in what we were doing, because I looked over at them at least 3 or 4 times while me and the missus were in the place, looking at the V2s and the V4s and the Diavos and whatever else. And not once did anyone look up from the counter. Not once. Now again, you might think I'm being pedantic and being kind of moody about it, but that's my observation, and that's my takeaway from that place. If you go to Ducati in Vauxhall, don't expect to be served, because the guys there are either too busy looking at other shit, or too ignorant, or too lazy to talk to you. That's the impression I got from that place. So, sorry Ducati, but I will not ever be buying a bike from that place, nor would I ever be going in there again. So that is my rant over for the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you got something out of it. And if you've got any questions about the gear I use, or the bikes I ride, or anything in between, feel free to put it in the comments box down below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have been awesome. I have been Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, saying look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the road, be aware of COVID-19, be safe, be happy, and as always, adios!